So friends, we have descended from Azekah and now we're located in Sha'araim, a fortress built by King Saul, and this is the place where his camp was and to where David would come from Bethlehem. Okay, so let's start reading 1 Samuel 17 from verse 8 about Goliath. He stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel and said to them, it happened just behind of me in this valley, why do you come out to draw up in battle array? Am I not the Philistine, and you servants of Saul? You see, he humiliates them. You are not servants of God, you are servants of Saul. Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight me and kill me, then we will become your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall become our servants and serve us. So these methods, when one warrior would fight another, it was ancient methods to fight for the armies. You don't need to slaughter everyone. Why? Because during that time people believed that it's not us who decide the outcome of the battle. It's about gods. Our God is going to fight with your God. So who is stronger? So that army will prevail. That's why the Philistine provoked them and said, okay, come and fight with me. And nobody would risk his life except of David. He came and he talked to Saul, and Saul would send him because it's not about David, it's not about Goliath, it's about their gods. So we are shifting a little bit this text and we are going to the verse 25. The men of Israel said, have you seen this man who is coming up? Surely he is coming up to defy Israel, and if it will be that the king will enrich the man who kills him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free of taxes in Israel. Then David spoke to the men who were staying by him, saying, what will be done for the man who killed the Philistine, and take away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should taunt the army of the living God? The people answered him in accord with these words, saying, thus it will be done for the man who kills him. So it means that David did not fight for just, honor. David did not fight for God. David fought for reward. Very practical reason, because usually we think that David fought with God, for armies of Israel. No, he fought for reward. And most likely he had difficult relations inside of his family, so most likely he wanted gain some sympathies from his father, from his brothers as well. So he fought for practical reasons, and it's okay. Sometimes we a little bit became too spiritual, we bring more spirituality than it was in fact. We are moving to the verse 32. David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail on account of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, while he has been a warrior from his youth. By the way, it's very true and reflected also on the Medinet Habu temple in Egypt. When the Philistines fought with the Egyptians and Egyptians got a victory, a commemorative picture was created, and there in picture you can see youth who fights, even protecting his cargo. So indeed the Philistines knew how to fight from their youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went out after him and attacked him and rescued it from his mouth. And when he rose up against me, I seized him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this circumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he was taunts the armies of the living God. And David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." So you can see here the same principle. It's not me who is going to kill that giant, it's God who is going to give the giant to my hand. So it's not about us people, it's about God's. And our God, David said, definitely stronger. I want to break a myth about David's appearance. So usually, because it's written that he was a youth, that people draw a picture of skinny and weak teenager who hardly can walk in all the armor. But you probably remember that when King Saul was appointed as the king, he had a very bright future. He was higher ahead, above the entire Israel. So he was quite tall man. So when he offered his armor to David, most likely David was young, tall and strong, and Saul was not against that he is going to represent the nation of Israel and fight that Goliath. At the end of all, God will decide the destiny. He took his stick in his hand and chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in the shepherd's bag, which he had, even in his pouch, and his sling was in his hand, and he approached the Philistine. Now David is ready for the battle. Now let's see closer how Goliath was armed. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was clothed with scale armor which weighed 5,000 shekels of bronze. He also had bronze greaves on his legs and a bronze javelin slung between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and the head of the spear weighed 600 shekels of iron. His shield carrier also walked before him. So we see that he was fully protected, even having a bronze helmet. Then the Philistine came on and approached David with the shield barrier in front of him, which means during that time Goliath was fully armored, protected and ready for a battle. Then Philistine started to curse David on behalf of his gods, and David replied him, "You come with me with sword and with spear, but I come against you in the name of my Lord." So you see the same spiritual war. It's not we are fight each other, those are our gods will decide how the battle will finish. So then it happened when the Philistine rose and came and drew near to meet David, that David ran quickly towards the battle line to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand into his bag and took from it a stone and slung it and struck the Philistine on his forehead. And the stone sank into his forehead so that he fell on his face to the ground. Those several verses have 3 strange descriptions. So first of all, why David ran toward the Philistine? Because it's much more difficult to aim when you're in movement. What about staying firm and then shooting? This is strange. Secondly, how it happened that Goliath got a strike into his head? Because he had a helmet. From the description we know he wore a bronze helmet. So how David hit him? And third strange thing, that Goliath fell on his face instead of falling on his back, because if you get strike to your head, you are going to fall down behind, okay, not forward. So how it happened? So let me explain 3 those strange things connected to the topographical place. We shall remember that they clashed in a valley, which means they descended to a valley from two slopes. Nowadays, the Elah Valley quite flat relief because it was turned into a field, but originally it was slope against the slope. So when Goliath, being very tall person, he was also very heavy. So when heavy person goes down the slope, he needs to see what's going on, where he's going to step. In that manner, he would expose his head, his upper portion of the head. You probably remember that the helmets of the Philistines, they consisted a bronze strip with feather. So when Goliath was descending, he exposed only possible place to strike. That's why David ran, not to lose that several seconds of opportunity. Otherwise, when the Goliath in the valley, he would stand straight and there is no place to hit him. So while he was descending, exposing his head, David ran and struck him. That's why when the stone entered his head, he did not fell on his back, he fell forward. After the kill, both armies realized that God of Israel prevailed gods of the Philistines. That's why people of Judah, people of Israel rose and rushed toward the enemy, and enemy just fled, because though the Philistines were physically, military stronger, they realized our gods have been defeated. So there is no chance for us to fight, so we need to flee. So they fled, and the Israelites got great victory on that day. This event became the turning point in the David life. He stopped being shepherd, he became a chief of the men of war. Here in this area, Jonathan made covenant with David. And later on, David would marry one of the daughters of the king. The same sometimes happens in our life. Daily life, daily sheep, daily field, you do what you do each day, and then boom, God accelerates the events. You do your best, and God make you a person more important than yesterday. So let's take courage from this story. Let's continue to do all the good things which we can do, and we'll ask for His mercy and for His acceleration. By that kill, David stopped all the Philistine invasions inside of the Israeli territory. Behind of me, you can see continuation of the Elah Valley, which turns right toward the Hebron and then to city of Beersheba. Or if you would continue straight, you will reach Bethlehem. So all the Philistines were stopped here, which means all the cities inland were saved by David. Later on, time came when David fled from Saul. He chose to go to this area because the residents of those cities were indebted to David. So this is a place where he hid in the area of En-Gedi, Ziv, near Hebron, and all the cities which have been saved by David supplied his men and himself with food and covering. So friends, I want to challenge you. Do whatever you can do today. If you can do something good, do it today, because you don't know how it's going to serve you tomorrow. Just as David killed Goliath because he could, and it served him for the future. So let's do the same.